Hey everybody, it's Gypsy Chick. It's been a while. I think I went back and looked at the videos that I'd done, recently, or in recent months, I should say. And my last one was on January 4th. And I know I had this real gung ho attitude whenever I started, when I made those, I think like two or three, like maybe three or four. I kind of had a good month or something. I had a nice little run. Um, That all came to a screeching halt at the end of January when I broke my wrist roller skating, of all things. So that was somewhat of an embarrassment because I didn't break it doing anything like cool on my skates. I was at family skate night and randomly lost my balance and threw an arm back to catch myself, and you don't do that, especially when you're pushing 40. So fell on back and broke it. Didn't realize I'd broken it. I thought I'd kind of overextended it or sprained it. I was like, wow, that really hurts. So I went and put my wrist guards on, which I should have had on in the first place. And had I had them on, I would have broken my wrist. Have I mentioned that I could have prevented this? So anyway, yeah, I put my wrist guard on and, finished skating. Went on home, took a leave, went to bed, slept. Woke up the next morning. Wrist was pretty swollen. But I had a child at home, so when you've done something like that, your pain threshold is a little bit messed with. You're not quite as sensitive as you were maybe before. And so I was like, yeah, it hurts. I mean, it hurts pretty bad, but I mean, I've had worse. So anyway, I ended up going into the doctor later that day or that morning because I smacked it. It made me physically ill. And I realized, oh, I've never responded to pain like that before. I think I broke it. And the doctor was like, wow, really? You're walking around? What are you taking for pain? I was like, nothing. I took a leave last night on an empty stomach, so I'm kind of, And, the pain's kind of bugging me, so I haven't really been, so I didn't want to take anything. And he's looking at me like, really? So anyway, long story short, if it's not too late, I broke my wrist, broke it really badly. I snapped the end of the radius off, which is the big bone from here to here. And so I actually had to have pins put in my arm. So any of you that have had pins installed that are the temporary kind, they stick out of your skin the entire time you're healing in the cast. I don't recommend breaking your arm in the way that I did. If you're going to break your arm, do it some other way. This was extremely inconvenient. I am very squidgy about all things medical, flesh related. The breaking of my bone didn't freak me out the way that, even to this day, I just don't even like to think about it. It was horrible. Anyway, so I had that on for 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. See, just talking about it's making my wrist kind of hurt a little. Anyway, so I had that for a while, couldn't drive, totally miserable. I didn't even want to talk about it. It was very negative. It's a very negative space because I was miserable and in pain all the time, and it was like, whatever. So consequently, when I got the cast off, so this whole time, mind you, I can't shuffle. Okay, I can't shuffle. There's no shuffling when you have pins in your wrist, like a voodoo doll wrist, and then you have a hard cast over that, and it's stuck like this. You can't shuffle. And I tried doing the scattered amount on the floor. It's just not the same. Can't get a good mix without shuffling. I have to shuffle. So the cards got put back away again for just a little bit longer. So I got all that off in, I guess, March. Because it was like right at the end of February, January, beginning of February. Got the things off in March, I think. And then late March, maybe early April, late March. We'll call it late March, whatever, it doesn't matter. I got it off. But then obviously my wrist was super stiff. And it took me a while to be able to shuffle. A few weeks ago, I was able to shuffle the cards again. So my hand has gotten its dexterity back and all that. I couldn't even, do simple. It was ridiculous. Ugh, I hated it. Anyway, so I have my little notes here. I'm trying to make sure that I stay on task because my brain is like, and I've been drinking coffee, so that just makes it worse. Oh, the other thing that I've been kind of interested in or pulled towards lately, besides my cards, is Buddhism. And this is something that I've actually been interested in before and have kind of read a little bit about it and then kind of gone my own way and then read a little bit more and then kind of done my own thing. And so recently I've just been really interested in it. And a while back I read The Buddhist Boot Camp by Timber Hawkeye. I don't know if you've ever seen this book or heard of this before. I really liked it a lot. He said a lot of really very thought-provoking things in here that really kind of got me to thinking. And I guess I read this about 2 years ago. And then I read his other one that came out not long ago. I believe it's called Faithfully Religionless, also by Timber Hawkeye. I believe that's what it's called. And also really good stuff in there that I was like, oh, well, yeah, just in my experience in my life and the things that I've gone through and how I've coped with them and the different ways that I've done that, it's like there's I've definitely figured out what works and what does not. Okay. But this Buddhist way of the way of viewing the world and viewing spirituality and viewing our place in the grand scheme of things, and as far as the recognizing the mind, and recognizing mind as though it's mind and spirit seem very, they're not separated. There's not a lot of separation in Buddhism. I think that's what I like about it, and that's what I struggle with a lot with a lot of the pagan traditions, as far as the ritualness of it and all of the correspondences and the way that everything's kind of categorized. I can see where that's very useful to some people, but for me it's like, it's not that clear. You can't just separate. And I think that's one of the things I love about Buddhism, is it's so encompassing of so many different ways of looking at things and thinking about things. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I've kind of been reading up on. And so that's another thing that's kind of been, a little bit of my spare time. I haven't been, I haven't just flocking to the cards. And honestly, I've been really struggling with getting into my tarot cards. Since I started shuffling again, I was getting my hands kind of ready. I've pulled some cards here and there. I think I posted some in March on my Facebook page. But I just, it's like I love my deck. I love tarot, but I just wasn't feeling it. And I had bought this deck just on a whim. I didn't even have the intention of actually using it much when I bought it. I just wanted it because the cards are beautiful, thanks to Owl Moon. And I talked about this on my Facebook too, I think. I purchased the Divine Circus Oracle. So I've been kind of reading the Buddhist books, but maintaining kind of my practice in this regard, because I see it as a way of kind of accessing what I think the Buddhist, perception of mind is, that subconscious, that thing that we're all, that cable we're all on kind of thing, and accessing that. And so anyway, so I've got this deck, and then after I looked through it, I was like, I really would like to use that deck. Well, about, I guess a couple weeks ago, the Buddhist center here near where I live was having like an info night where they invited people to come, and they talked about what Buddhism was. And they actually had a guest speaker who was here from Denmark, I believe it was. And so he had a cool accent. And anyway, he had a lot of really cool things to say, and there was kind of a Q&A going back and forth. I didn't plan my time very well, and I ended up having to leave before it was over, but it was a really cool experience, and I was like, oh, I need to do this. And so last night I went back for like their meditation night and got to experience that, with the mala beads and the whatever they call, I'm drawing a blank, the mantra that they chanted or whatever, and then they had a song. It was a pretty cool experience. And so I was like, I think I could probably get into this. And the people that were there were pretty cool. I kind of liked all of them. So I was like, yeah, I think I might actually kind of like this. So that's kind of been taking a lot of my energy and a lot of my thought, but I am kind of trying to figure out how to incorporate it. I think when I go to the actual center, I'm going to use my Kuan Yin oracle cards, because it helps. I need, something to kind of focus on. I'm still new at this whole meditating. I have tried so many times to meditate, and whenever I was really active in reading cards for other people a lot, I did a lot more meditating than I do now, and I really miss it. And it it felt good the other night to kind of just, frankly, kind of space out and leave the room, so to speak, for just a little bit, and just kind of, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. It was nice. So anyway, so that's what I've been doing. The other book, this is written by Lama Oli. Don't give me a lie on how to say his last name. I'm not sure. But this is the book that I'm reading, and the center that I go to actually is one of his like centers that he kind of, I guess, started. But anyway, it's very condensed, so I'll tell you, it's one of those books, I find myself reading some of the paragraphs like 2 or 3 times, because sometimes it's like, whoa, you just said a lot of stuff right there. You're blowing my mind, dude. So I have to go back and kind of read it again. So anyway, that's a really good read, and it just, like I said, that all of this stuff that they're saying, it's like, it's kind of putting into words or giving, what am I trying to say? It's like affirming the stuff that I've kind of been coming to in my own life, and the kind of things that the thoughts that I've had. I feel like I sound like a Dr. Seuss book. The things that I thought, whatever, but different sentiments and ways of understanding things and observations about people and interacting with different types of people and different levels of, positive and negative energy, and that exchange between people and how those relationships work. Major stuff. So that's been cool, which has been helping me a lot, because thanks to what I'm calling the Bonefire Prophecy, I had that in the title for a reason, because it's catchy, and I'll get to it. But the Bonefire Prophecy. So when I did my weekly deck challenge video on the Bonefire Prophecy, on the Bonefire deck, no, seriously, but you need to know. Some cards fell out when I was shuffling it during the video. I think it was at 3:10, I believe, in the video, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Some cards flew out. And so I ended up going back, and I was showing examples of the cards, and I just used the cards that I had drawn, or that I had dropped, that fell out, that jumped out of the deck. And I got it, and it was like, I want to say, off the top of my head, I think it was the Tower, the King and Queen of Wands, the Page of Swords, and the Six of Wands. I believe it was. Without going into too much personal information about my life, because I'm not going there, I'm not on the YouTubes, but yes. So major shift type stuff happening in my life. Definitely Tower time. Definitely Tower time. Now, what's funny is that I, recorded that back in January, and it's almost as if ever since then, there's been this slow kind of gradual build up over the last few months, and just in the last month, it's all just been like, and shoo, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm in a bit of a time of transition right now. I almost said purgatory. Yeah, sometimes it feels like it. But anyway, yeah, so that was kind of interesting. When I was watching my other videos, I was like, oh, wow. And so all of these things are kind of helping now that I'm kind of getting back into, my spiritual self and all of that. It's like it's all lining up right now. It's like everything's starting to, it's like there was this poof, and now it's like, okay, everything's, oh, that might not be so bad. So we're here. Oh, okay. Some things are all right. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm hopeful. I'm feeling good that it's just going to do this. I'm feeling good. But anyway, so lots going on. But I am going to try to start doing more with videos. I'm probably going to be talking about some things that, like, in regards to Buddhism, that I'm kind of thinking about. If anybody's interested, I'll probably start a new video playlist for that stuff, so that if you don't care about that part of my stuff I chatter on about, you ain't gotta watch it. I'll put it in its own little playlist. And then I also have this deck that I would love to talk about. I won't go into it for long here because I think this video is long enough, but Divine Circus Oracle, it's by Alana Fairchild. Oh my god, the pictures though. For real. They have got, it's all like circus themed, obviously. It's very clown heavy, so if you're having an aversion to clowns, you really don't like clowns, I don't know that you're going to like this deck very much. Let me see, watch. I say that, and now, she's kind of a clown. She's kind of got a vampire looking clown thing going on. Okay, and then there's this kind of clown. So they're not they're not like Twisty or, the It clown. She's just awesome. She's got a spookiness to her, but I love it. I like her crazy. So anyway, that's all of the clowns that they had, kind of. Here's, it's not really a clown. It's clown-ish, but not really. It's its own thing, I guess. More mimey, I guess. Mime-inspired makeup. I don't really know. Off on a tangent. So anyway, That's the deck that I'm kind of working with currently. And then, like I said, I think the next time I go back to the Buddhist Center, I'm going to take my Kuan Yin cards, and I'm going to kind of use those, draw one and let that be my focal point, for the evening. So anyway, I guess that's it. If anybody has any questions, wants to know anything, I mean, like, not too personal, ain't going in all that stuff. Let's just say, whatever. Lots going on. But if you have any questions, or if you have any ideas, things you want me to do videos on, let me know. I would love to hear you. That's all I got. Talk to you later.